Start the morning right with a cup of Vinyl Tap. Nothing beats the refreshing taste of a hot, warm mug of Vinyl Tap. Enjoy your podcast in liquid form today. Vinyl Tap. Enjoy responsibly.
2, 1.
Vinyl Tap.
I'm Habibi.
I'm Habibi.
I'm Habibi.
And this week on Vinyl Tap, we listen to Miles Davis' Bitches Brew.
There's no apostrophe.
No.
That bothers me. So, like, what's the... We'll get into it later.
No,
start here.
So, let's start here. So, what does that mean? Does that mean... So, it's...
So the brew doesn't belong to the bitches.
No, it's it's the bitches. Like,
It's a brew of bitches.
It's a brew of bitches.
Sounds like a George Martin novel.
so...
A brew of bitches.
Who are the bitches? Are they the players? Are
Well,
they
let's figure it out.
the... I don't know.
Are you gonna
space
say
ladies?
You're gonna say the women in his life, and we're gonna go straight into the controversy.
Well, I don't know anything
I'm-
about the controversy,
know
so
if it
that would be hard
was.
for me to do. I don't know.
It's he beat his wives and women in his life.
Welcome to Vinyl Tap.
Yeah,
Right.
it's a thing, but you can't not mention it, especially when the album is ambiguously called Bitches Brew and no one knows where the titles
No
come
one-
from.
yeah.
Oh, is it actually like...
Yeah.
Yeah, it's actually...
It's
yeah.
actually unclear.
It's funny
Sorry,
that you
I was
brought
just
that up.
making a grammatical... Like,
No, it's funny that you brought that up because, like, when I was doing some reading on it, that's like a thing that lots of people talk about. They're like, brew is a verb.
Maybe...
Yeah, and it's like, it could be the
he's
players.
talking about how bitches brew.
Yes.
I'm so confused.
Or it could be that the players are like,
really good, and like it could be so
And they're
like there's
bitching.
yeah.
Oh, this is weird.
It is a weird
Yeah.
one. Kind of like,
Don't hit your spouse.
Yeah, and it's one of those things where we'd be doing a disservice if we didn't mention that in context of this.
yeah. Because, like, it is a fucking sweet album.
Yeah,
It's really, really, really cool.
Yeah,
it's really cool.
It's all right.
But you've also got to acknowledge
Yeah.
that other stuff, unfortunately. But we've done that.
He's an interesting dude. So, like, because apparently a lot of the musicians in it, like, their stories of, like, recording with him were, like...
This album in particular.
Yeah, this album in
Wait,
particular...
don't tell me how it's done yet.
No. Just, like, their anecdotal kind of experience of, like, recording with Miles was, like, a little bit intimidating. Some of them were, like, genuinely a bit, like, freaked out.
Because this is
Because-
after kind of Blue, right? Like he's already
Yeah.
like
That was the height of his career. He's already a dominant figure.
Yeah. He's already huge.
He
and-
commands people.
Yep. And he basically just got a whole bunch of, like, musos that he'd
I mean, he's
worked a
got
bit
John
before.
McLaughlin. I'm assuming most of the other players are like peak of their career as well.
Yeah, what's the personnel on this
Sort
like? Because
of...
I was thinking that it's not Bill Evans on keys.
No.
Didn't he
Yeah.
famously leave the band a few years before this?
I don't know when people famously did things.
I don't know. So I know that Chick Corea is definitely on it.
Whoa, that makes sense.
Yeah. Zawinul, what's his first name? I want to cheat by looking at the list, but I can't.
Didn't you write it down?
No, I didn't.
That's
write
the point.
That was
That's
the
why
one
we
thing.
have
Yeah, that was the
notes.
one thing I didn't write down was all of the personnel because there's
Well,
like
it's the one thing I did. No, I don't know.
there's like 15 separate musicians.
Yeah, that makes sense. On these 6 songs,
Yeah.
across 94 minutes.
4 minutes.
Across the double album.
But yeah, like I'll actually like a lot of these musos from this album then went on to make bands. Like Chick
Return
Corea.
to Forever.
Yeah, Return to Forever.
Coltrane? Was he on this one?
No, I don't think so, no.
Is he already left and doing his own thing?
Coltrane's definitely doing his own thing in
Yeah.
1970.
Cool.
Yeah.
But also Weather Report came after this.
Ah, how do you do about that? So I okay, we were talking about jazz fusion in the context of this album while listening, and now I'm kind of getting what you're talking about.
Yes. So when you said, is this jazz fusion? The answer is a sort of yes. It's kind of like jazz fusion
Start of
came...
it?
Yeah.
So it's like
came
jazz
from this,
fusion in
basically.
the way that Black Sabbath is heavy metal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is like from what I could tell, basically the start of it.
Cool.
All of these dudes were like, whoa, like that's a really cool combination of sound.
Because there's...
Let's explore
this.
Awesome.
There's
awesome.
one thing...
It's definitely freer in structure than a lot of Jazz
mode.
fusion.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Like it's free jazz, but jazz fusion.
Yeah.
But also it's not super free because there's a really well locked in rhythm section that carries through most of this, even if it's super loose. And this is like, it's kind of like contradictory things, right? It's free jazz, but there's like a definite like rhythm section that's locking in, doing bass line that you were singing for a few minutes. That's like keeping some kind of beat and momentum while all the soloists just get to go ham and do whatever they want over the top. So there's clearly some
They go
bass
ham,
line structure.
they go pork, they go salami, they go all kinds of
Exactly.
of cured meats.
Correct.
I'm gonna go salami on this.
But that was like, I don't know. It was just kind of interesting that because there were moments where the accompaniment.
Miles is a little bit prosciutto. Just in some moments.
He was going pretty cabana right
Yeah, like. Sorry, keep talking about your
There were-
serious.
Oh yeah, the music. Right?
Yeah, there were moments where the like drums were like very rock in a way.
Just steady and solid.
Yeah, and
okay.
like they weren't very jazz drums. They
But
were
then-
more rock drums.
Then there were moments where it was very jazz drums.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Excellent.
From what I read, like he was super influenced by everything and anything. Like he just wanted to create something new. So like, there's like an anecdote of him going to Jimi Hendrix gig and watching Jimmy cover his guitar in lighter fluid and light it up, and his response was "fuck." And then like he was like, "Cool, like I want to incorporate some of that into what I'm doing."
There you go.
So like
There
the
you go.
track that's titled Miles Runs the Voodoo
down.
Down.
I was assuming that was a Hendrix
It's
reference.
a Hendrix reference, and I think like those like rock drums or the jazz drums, those like so the way that this got in terms of how they like.
No, don't tell me. I have questions and theories
Oh,
before you
okay,
tell me.
let's go.
It's just so weird that this is all happening at the same time as experimental rock and heavy metal. It's such
Yeah.
a crazy, like, wild west of genre music.
Yeah.
Sorry, Jason,
Yeah,
go on.
yeah.
The production on this fucking threw me for a loop.
Right.
Because it's presumably all on tape, 1970, right? They're
Yeah.
recording onto tape.
Yep.
Okay. I can't see how they could do something freeform like this without all recording in the same space at the same time. Like they're
Yeah.
not multi-tracking unless they're doing some overdubs here or there, which
Yeah.
is fine.
Yeah.
I even doubt that.
And even, it's hard to do with tape, right?
There was a moment where I thought I heard two trumpets.
And I was going to say, there's these like moments and effects on certain instruments at certain points where it'll like hard cut to something else. And even just the effect that's there, like, I don't know how they could have achieved that while recording in the same space onto tape. Like, it's like, and I don't know what's up.
Do you have any
but
theories?
Something is up. My only thing would be maybe like the solo instrument in certain sections was overdubbed later on and they had the effect on while they were recording. That's like maybe it.
Yeah. So, who is he? Tio, probably going to pronounce this wrong. Macero, who was the like
Pronounce it intentionally terribly.
Tio Makeriro.
Okay, that guy.
Him. So shit. He was like, what do you call them? Producer.
Producer.
Look, cut me a break. It's been a big day. The producer.
New title. No longer producer, I'm a productionist.
So the productionist, so he literally got a razor blade and would like cut and glue.
Oh, it's tape splicing, is it?
Tape splicing, and
Fuck
not
yeah.
Awesome.
like so. He also
Old
had a
school
whole
style.
bunch of like the Columbia studio made
That's
a thing
fucked
called a
up.
TO1, which was like an effects machine that you could put tape through, so you could get like the delay effects was like a post production.
So there is a
tape
lot of
effect.
post-production
Yeah, so there's-
stuff on what's going
Well,
on.
the thing is that like Bitches Brew, for example, that like was actually spliced. So they miles ago in, they would like get a riff, get a groove going, and then if he liked it, he would play over it, and if they weren't vibing it, he would stop it, give a few people some suggestions, and start up again. So the recording of what they actually did in the whole session and the final product
And they cut down
were completely different. So they literally spliced things from the end, from the middle, and just created a new song.
That's
Cool.
mad.
Yeah,
That's fucking wild.
yeah, so okay, Pharaoh's Dance.
Because it wasn't like stupidly obvious, like something is bad is going on. There was something up with it that I couldn't put my finger on. That's
so
like
the first track,
stupidly coherent for 1970.
Pharaoh's Dance, had 17 separate edits, and what did he do? He created like new sections by repeating loops of a 15-second fragment or like a 30-second fragment, and just created sections of that song.
Right.
And like there's a 1-second fragment that he repeated like 5 times as a like
that explains that.
as a feature,
Yeah.
right?
Okay. Bro.
Yeah, super fucking cool.
Right. I might need to listen to that again.
Yeah, and then apparently what he would do was he would like mix it. He would chop it all up. He would spend like 3 to 4 weeks doing something. He'd send it to Miles, and then he would go, "Oh, it's okay." And he's like, "What?" And then like he might have to do some changes. And he said like it would take him like another 3 to 4 weeks to change it all, just to do like a minor thing. And then
Go
he'd
ahead.
send it off, and he'd be like, "Oh yeah, it's all right." But like, so one of the keyboardists said that like he wasn't.
Keyboarders.
Oh look, whatever.
No, it was electric keyboard.
Yeah,
Right? Like
yeah,
it
yeah,
wasn't
yeah.
like a piano. Or
I don't know what you call them.
So you
Keyboard
would call
player.
them an electric.
No, I was
a
making fun
keyboardist.
of him saying production.
Productionist and
keyboarder.
keyboardist.
It's a
Keyboard.
keyboarder.
Sorry, it's a keyboarder. One of the keyboarders said that he wasn't actually like really, he didn't really enjoy playing. He thought that was a pretty flat, lifeless thing. And then later on, he was in like some office space, and he was like listening to this really, really cool music, and he's like, "Wow, that's fucking awesome." And he asked the receptionist what it was, and she's like, "Oh, it's Bitches Brew."
And he found
And
out
he
that something
yeah,
was on it.
yeah,
Yeah.
Oh,
like
that's
he was
me.
playing it, and just didn't recognize
That's
it at
fucking
all.
wild.
Wow.
Right, so it's difficult to appreciate free jazz, modal jazz, jazz fusion when you're not like deep in the midst of like to understand
Yeah.
why you feel the way you do when you're listening to it. And on top of that, this album has insane production tidbits like that.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is a difficult album. I think we all noticed while listening to it. It's a difficult album to elaborate on.
And
Yeah.
talk about specific
Yes.
moments.
Yeah, I mean, jazz, like this sort of jazz is hard to do that at the best of times, let alone from
the
like a
first
first
listen,
listen.
yeah.
Like it's the kind of thing that you've
Yeah.
really got to be like intimately familiar with to be like, well, there's this section at this
This
time
moment,
frame
this
and
section, yeah.
all of this is happening and it's cool because this, but like it's so hard to do that from a first listen.
I think though that as a first listen, this kind of experience is way better than, for example, like the Young Garbrick group, right?
Yeah.
Because it's the Young Garlic group.
Yes.
Because like this is like there are some really cool moments where like it kind of grooves and you can put it in the background and it can be engaging and it can be a little bit freaky, but you just tune it out like white noise. But it's I think
It's more approachable.
yeah.
Yep.
I think having like a steadier pulse and movement and
Yep. It's more dense.
yeah, I don't think it's as free as what the Garbarette group is. Mm-hmm. And I think the freeness is probably the most off-putting element, not necessarily the modality.
Yeah, no, 100%.
Because this is very modal, even at points atonal, and it's still, we can just chat while it's happening.
Yeah, I think it has that kind of grounding in what would be like a generic understanding of like jazz,
Yeah.
It's got the jazz sound.
But also, like I was
which is,
saying, with the rhythm section, I think really helps ground this because it's got that kind of consistency and familiarity while all the solos are doing whatever they're doing. Whereas with the Jan Garbarette group, there's not that like
there's nothing
stability to
grounding you
bounce off.
at all. Right, yeah. Yep.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense. And look, I mean, this album inspired a shitload of things. Like genres,
I'm not surprised.
musicians, like... I think this also
This
got...
is like his second biggest album, right? There's like
I actually think it's his first, like his biggest album.
No way.
no,
No way.
it's
No,
kind
well,
of
no,
Blue.
not
Kind
in,
of
not
Blue,
in,
right?
Well, I actually don't think. I think, or maybe it was his first like like I'm pretty sure I got like top 50 in the US, and it's his only top 50 in the US.
Right.
I think.
So actual genuine mainstream success.
Yeah, like sorry,
Sure.
when I say yeah.
I'm talking about like in terms of influence and whatever. Like A Kind of Blue is way larger than this.
Yeah, I think so.
Undoubtedly.
Yeah. To be honest, I actually don't know.
Which I would. This is more of a like statement than Kind of Blue. Kind of Blue is like an eventuation of a style that had been developing for quite some time, whereas this is experimental. This is new.
Yeah, this is very new.
This is doing something, whereas Kind of Blue is just like the mastery of modal jazz,
Yeah.
which had been around. Kill me.
I can agree with that.
No, I think that was probably a good assessment, because like
Yeah.
I know that this apparently like inspired the well, from what I read, like the psych rock movement got huge inspiration from this album. It inspired like prog, and then obviously all of the spin-offs like
Jazz
fusion
fusion.
jazz and all that sort of
Yeah.
stuff. Everything that came from there, like this is kind of the birth of a bunch of genres.
Right,
Which
that's
is
interesting.
wild.
Because you do see a bit of a turning point in psych rock and prog rock around 1970.
Yeah.
But prior to that, things are more loose and like naturey, free, and I don't know, kind of eclectic in that way.
Yep.
And then after that, things get a bit more formed. The genres have a bit more of an identity to them. It's like the difference between Days of Future Past and, I don't know, Dark Side Unknown.
Yeah, okay.
Yep.
If I'm being coherent at all.
Yeah.
Potentially.
I knew that this
Write in the
album
comments if you think Tim is full of shit.
I could be. This album has a lot of minor, major 7 chords, and I'm a big fan of that.
Oh, harmony stuff.
Oh,
Actual
yeah.
Harmony
musical
stuff,
things,
actual
I
right?
musical
actually
things.
took notes.
I mean, I did as well, but it's more vague things.
Yeah,
like
I didn't take any notes.
very
on.
hard to talk
I
about
like bass clarinet.
structure of a freeform piece without knowing it. It's very hard to talk about texture of pieces that go for 20 minutes when you don't know the entire piece ahead of time. Like, you're making my job very difficult here.
Yeah, I mean, from some of the reading I did, people say that like Pharaoh's Dance and Bitches Brew have like a connection to like sonata form.
Interesting.
And that like you can analyze it as like a classical music form.
Proving the genius of Miles Davis using music theory.
Well, yeah, but like that's because that was actually like that's attributed to the productionist
Yeah, true.
because he spliced it together and like, you know, like I don't know,
Did things.
a lot of it just went straight over my fucking head.
Makes
But,
sense, yep.
Yeah, you can like actually
Also,
analyze
I swear
this
you
in.
just said productionist again.
I did on purpose. That's what we call them now.
Keep up.
Keep up. Shout out to all the productionists out there making
Yeah.
great
Keep going at it.
production.
Keep
I can
productioning.
tell you that Pharaoh's Dance, I'm pretty sure, just got more and more dissonant as the piece went on, which was kind of cool.
Yeah. Yep.
And
Not to say that it starts out being constant.
No, but it gets more dissonant. And I have this question. Because of the like grounding of the rhythm section and that little bit of familiarity, is that what makes the dissonance more acceptable to people rather than having pieces constructed solely that are just dissonant from top to bottom?
I'm going to say yes.
Sure.
And the reason I'm going to say yes is because like if you've got any songs where you get a pedal note, so that's like you're just playing the one note, you can actually just kind of do anything over
Yep.
the top of it, and you're grounded in
You
that
can
constant thing.
manipulate the human ear and brain in a way that just makes things like you hear it, mere exposure, right? You introduce an idea and keep it going long enough that it's just fine.
Yeah,
This is okay. Like you can do anything else with this and it's fine.
yeah. So I definitely think that because there's like moments where there's like rhythm and funk and like
Funk.
yeah, and like whatever, and then suddenly you've got some weird dissonant bullshit going over the top. Like you're sort of, it's fine because you Like in that...
You've been eased into it.
what was that moment? I don't know which song it was. It all strips... You're talking about that bass, right? Where like you were often... We were listening completely differently. Like I was
Yes.
listening to the bass sort of grooving along.
Yeah.
And you were like listening to the... it's happening
The
over the top.
insanity
And
happening
then
on
like
top.
all of the insanity stripped away and you're just straight back in the groove.
Yeah.
And it was like, oh, this is cool. Not,
But it's been there
I'm
the whole
lost.
time, yeah.
I really do love it when music like eases you into this fucking chaos and then like shows you what's been there the whole time. That's some of my favorite moments in music. Love it. Love that shit. I like soprano sax too. That was crazy.
Yeah, that was crazy.
The call and response of the guitar and piano.
Yeah, that
Not
was
just in
awesome.
like the one song across the theme.
Yeah.
The whole thing.
Like copying each other's lines and kind of like imitating each other was really cool.
There's heaps of really, really, really cool moments in this. But Sanctuary for me was kind of the most standard piece.
Oh yeah.
Absolutely.
As a slow
Was-
jam and
Yeah, slow jam. It's like very jazzy, but
Yeah.
then it struck me that it also really wasn't. Like if you were to hear it in isolation, you'd be like, "What the fuck?"
But at
Like,
the end of everything
But at the end
else-
of everything,
okay.
it sounded really, really standard, and I liked that. But it was
It was a breath of fresh air, and that's not to say that the air we were previously breathing was toxic of some kind. It was just like, oh, that's ooh.
I don't think that was as impactful because of the previous song. Because I think
That was like a
Miles
slide down.
runs the voodoo down. So I think the first time we kind of heard him in the low register of the
Yeah,
trumpet,
he
calms
and
down
that
a
was the
lot.
like big tonal shift for me was when that happened. I was like, oh, this is starkly different to everything else, where he's like just up soaring
Screaming,
as high as he
yeah,
can.
yeah.
And it's pretty easy to reorder songs on this album, seeing as most of them just take up an
One
entire
side.
side.
Yeah, listen to it whatever order you want.
So maybe
I actually feel like listening to it out of order would change this one personally.
oh, definitely.
Yeah, I think it would. Like, I actually kind of like that it was sort of... Yeah, I think the order was sick. It was really, really cool. Having those really long pieces right at the beginning and then shorter pieces at the end, I think is actually a real strength to this style of music. And having things sort of get more structure the more you listen to it. The longer you listen to it was a good move.
Because as you start to potentially fatigue a bit from it, it
Yeah.
becomes a bit more...
The music catches up with
Catches
you.
up, yeah.
The 94 minutes flew past.
It really did, yeah.
Yeah, would recommend fucking having a good listen.
It's all right.
Click above to find out what else we've listened to this month.
Click below to support the artist we just listened to.
And don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss our next episode.